Get ready for truth and transparency from an ocean of liberal tears. Welcome to the Blue Shark Show with your host, Mike Lang.
Welcome back to another show. We have Constable Precinct 2 of Hood County, Constable John Shirley. Great to have you here, John.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Let's talk Commissioner's Court Tuesday, March 8th. And Mr. Biggers, who is the elect for the GOP chair here in Hood County, came up to Commissioner's Court and did exactly what he promised. He handed out a copy of the Texas Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, and the Republican Party principles and platform to each county commissioner and the county judge. So we know now that they all each have a copy of that. Hopefully, they will read it like Dave Eagle has. Let's listen to Steve Biggers as he speaks to the Commissioner's Court.
So he's going to hand out a packet for me inside there. I try to be a man of my word. My yes is my yes, my no is my no, and for the last 3 months, I promised if I got elected, you'd get a packet with the two constitutions, the U.S. and the state, and also the Republican platform. That's what you guys are getting today. So here's the deal. History was made, I think, last week. Certainly a good turn in our county. I've said that for many weeks now. The tide is changing, the wind's blowing. So, Commissioner Andrews, I hope this packet helps. Kind of guidelines. You kind of be the voice of reason, and you're quiet, and you're thoughtful, and you sit over there and you bring that rural Texas life-hand logic to this board up here, and we appreciate that. Keep doing that.
Mr. Biggers goes on and talks about each commissioner and the judge, and he starts with Commissioner Precinct 1, Kevin Andrews, and he talks about the life-hand logic that Kevin Andrews brings.
Yeah, he's basically given them how they're perceived, how the public perceives them serving up there on the Commissioner's Court. And public perception is a big deal because that's how the voters view you. That's what they see you doing and how you serve them as an elected official. And the life-hand logic is, he's got that rural conservative mentality, and he's going to stand on conservative small-town principles.
I really had the pleasure of getting to know Kevin really well during my campaign. We ran campaigns concurrently in the previous primary. So I got to know him really well, and really got to see that, just salt of the earth, good, hardworking, Christian, dependable, and you get that sense with Kevin very quickly. And I think his tenure on the court thus far has proved that out. And it's really been awesome to see him blossoming from really a freshman, commissioner into somebody who's really an asset to the court. And I look forward to the next 2 years. I think there's no doubt he's going to continue to impress.
And he will. Kevin's become kind of a favorite in the community. He's very caring, very servant-oriented. So that's huge in this office. And he will continue to grow as this goes on, especially with the new court, with the net coming in. So I think Mr. Biggers was spot on here with Kevin. Let's listen to Mr. Biggers as he goes on with Commissioner Precinct 2.
Mr. Cotton, congratulations. You helped make history. I really appreciate it. All your antics, all your comments, all your disrespect for the citizens of this county. Sue us if you don't like us spending our money that way. You don't need to have an open mic time. You argued against those things, sir. So you helped make history getting the first female commissioner elected. I appreciate that. Go have fun, retire on your essential golf course, and just live the rest of your life happily. I hope maybe this will just be some reading for you.
He pretty much let Commissioner Cotton have it, and as well he should. And that's the whole reason Nanette ran, was because the way Cotton treated the citizens of Hood County. And even through the open mic, he was kind of arguing against the citizens coming up and speaking. And there was a lot more that he brought up, but it was pretty spot on.
Yeah, it was. He just basically went into all the reasons why Nanette won and earned the citizens' vote on Election Day. When you treat citizens the way that Commissioner Cotton has treated them, when you try to shut down businesses but try to keep your own golf course open, it's not going to bode well for you. It had its consequences on Election Day.
Elections have consequences, as you just said. Mr. Cotton has shown his attitude multiple times to citizens speaking before the court. And if you're not the only person out there hearing Steve Biggers talk to Cotton like that, if you're a little bit, it's a little bit cringy. I was in the audience that day, and it was a little cringy. But you know what? The Ron and Ron show for the last 2 years has been cringy. They've shoved their attitude. They shoved things down our throats. They've taken our rights away. They've tried to hurt this community. And for Steve Biggers to finally get his voice, because the voters had spoken, for him to be able to get his voice and with righteousness look at them in the eyes and speak as the voters spoke to them, was not cringy. It was overdue. Bad servants need reprimanding, and that's exactly what took place.
They do. They need accountability, and that is accountability right there. And people may say, hey, this is divisive, this is negative. This is pure accountability. This is exactly what Cotton did, and this is exactly why Cotton got beat. And I think the other elected officials probably need to step up and look at themselves as far as accountability. Now let's move on to Commissioner Precinct 4. Mr. Biggers talks about Dave Eagle.
Commissioner Eagle, keep flying the flag. I know you have copies of these things. You're a founder's fighter. I appreciate it so very much. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, pretty short and sweet. I know you have a copy of the Constitution. Dave follows it. He does his homework. He studies it. He's the lone voice a lot of times up there on the Commissioner's Court. And there's really not much to say about Dave Eagle from a standpoint of accountability, because he's already doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he's doing his job, and he's doing his job well. He's representing his precinct well in Commissioner's Court.
Dave Eagle is a patriot, number one. He's also a statesman, and he's proven himself as a trustworthy voice of the people on the court. And so to see him rewarded is, it's what elections are supposed to be. Hardworking people are supposed to get their rewards. And Dave works hard, and he got his reward, and Steve Biggers took a little bit of time to just tell him that.
Commissioner Wilson, everybody had high hopes. We really did. Man, a man of integrity, shot, heard around the country, Texas hero. I don't know what happened, but I think you need to readjust some of your decision-making process, because everybody you supported, everybody you sent money to, everybody you had pictures taken with, they lost. And pretty soon, first of the year, when these two seats change, you're going to be like the Maytag man. You're going to be the loneliest man up there. So you need to readjust your decision-making process.
So Mr. Biggers talks about Jack Wilson and talks about the high hopes that everybody had for, his run, his tenure. And things aren't just panning out the way that people thought they would as far as Jack being a true conservative.
Well, I think Steve Biggers says it all when he says that that Commissioner Wilson needs to reevaluate his decision-making process. That right there lays it all out. Just because you're good with a gun doesn't necessarily make you a good conservative.
Courtney, you just stole my thunder. Jack he seems to be very disconnected as a commissioner. Dave Eagle, Kevin Andrews, of course, they seem to have their pulse on the community. And Jack, on top of obviously his antics that we've learned about recently, he just doesn't seem to be, his head's not in the game, I guess is the best way to put it. And so to me, hopefully, Steve Biggers calling his attention to the fact that his candidates were all soundly defeated will get his attention. And he'll think about maybe what's been going on in the court of the last couple of years and maybe change the way he's acting. We'll see.
We'll see is right. And, you go about, people tell you what they're going to do when they get elected. And right off the bat, before Jack was even elected, he said that your constitutional rights will be given back to you as soon as possible. And everybody that heard that should have believed him, and that's the way he's going to govern as Precinct 3 Commissioner. So when you hear people on the campaign trail talk about what they're going to do, and then they do it, don't be surprised, because they told you what they were going to do.
Exactly. That little excerpt in the Hood County News told me all I needed to know about where they stood, or that person stood, on constitutional rights.
Judge, you got to be in a nervous place. You have to be. Man, I got more votes than you did, Judge. So you got to be in a nervous place. I got 4,900 votes. You got 4,600 votes. So you have to be in a pretty nervous place. There's a reason that the Republican Party is an elephant. We don't forget. We don't forget our liberties being shut down. We don't forget people staying in your chair. Folks, we have to take your liberty away because we got to get the money from the government. So hopefully these are some guidelines for you guys to go by. These are your rules that you need to go by. These are your stay in your lane things that you guys need to do. Because the line was drawn last week in the sand. And I'm telling you right now, this EC coming up, the EC I'm going to be chairman of, it's going to have the elections, it's going to bolster the party, but it's going to be a watchdog. And it's going to do more than just bark. Please understand, stay in your lane. Thank you.
So Steve Biggers goes on with the judge and says, you've got to be in a nervous place. And he has to be, you know, along with Jack and Ron. He's talking about, you know, shutting the county down and things like that. So if you look at his demeanor while Mr. Biggers is speaking, he's just all over the place, and he is nervous about this.
Yeah, he should be. If he looked at those election results, he should be nervous. And if he's not, then he's not paying attention.
Well, the fact that the judge cracked a little smile whenever Mr. Biggers was talking, this just shows me that there's a little bit of nervous behind there. Behind those eyes, he's not sure he's gonna pull it out in a couple of months. So, yeah, he's got a lot to worry about, and he should.
And Mr. Biggers kind of wraps up with stay in your lane. He's going to be more than a watchdog on the elected officials that run as Republicans.
Yeah, they're going to do more than just bark. They're going to take action and hold these elected officials accountable, which is what our county chair should be doing.
Like, what a concept, right?
And staying in your lane, to me, it means something. You know, it seems like, at least since I've been involved with Hood County politics as an elected official, the county judge likes to throw his weight around. He thinks he runs this county. He thinks it's the Ron County. But you know what? There are independent elected offices in this county, each one just as independent as the other, including the county judge. And so Steve Biggers hit the nail on the head. Judge, learn your lane. Stay in your lane.
You know, I'm glad to see that Steve Biggers followed through on what he promised he was going to do in handing the commissioners the Texas Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, and the Republican Party platform, because there are definitely a couple people up there on the dais that could benefit from reading, in particular, the Republican Party platform.
And I'm especially encouraged to see Mr. Biggers talk about holding elected officials accountable post-election day. You know, it seems like historically so many elected officials think, whew, got reelected, it's all over. You know, I can relax for the next 4 years. But that's exactly the wrong attitude. To me, the work begins when you win your election or re-election. And to hear Steve Biggers say, I'm going to hold elected officials accountable, makes me really excited about the next 2 years.
And that was his theme all throughout his campaign. And even, you know, open the hood back in the day and stop the steal, all that stuff. So he's been on point since the very beginning. And it should be, people here in Hood County as Republicans and conservatives should be excited to have Mr. Biggers at the helm, because it's going to be great to see these elected officials function under the Republican Party platform, the Texas Constitution, and the U.S. Constitution. We look forward to the future. Thank you, Mr. Biggers. Congratulations. Shark Show out.